Tony Page is an independent consultant who teaches, writes about and facilitates change in companies, government and public services around the world. He works with the leaders of large organisations on subjects including strategy, leadership behaviour, culture and organisation development. Tony, how much do business people need to know before visiting a culture which is new to them?
Well, it really is useful to know a little bit about the culture before you go there. Probably we could summarise this in 3 areas. 1, the language, knowing a few words that will help you when you get to the country. Number 2, about the business culture. And usually with the business culture, the company that's sending you there will give you some basic information about the use of business cards, about whether or not to shake hands, about the timing for meetings, whether to turn up on time or not, how important that is. And the third thing is about entertaining. If you're invited to someone's house, whether you bring a gift. What are the sort of topics of conversation to go towards, and which are the topics to avoid?
How can we move beyond stereotypes when learning about new cultures?
Well, moving beyond stereotypes I think is very important, because otherwise you aren't learning anything really. You're only going with your previous knowledge. So how do we move beyond stereotypes? It's a 2-stage process. The first stage is about building bridges, and it's about finding out what we have in common. Some examples of this would be to do with talking about food, talking about football, talking about fashion, talking about family. These are all areas where very quickly we find common ground. The second stage of the process then is to explore what's unique, what's different, and to have some very good prepared questions probably that enable you to find out a little bit more, to follow your interest in terms of differences in that culture. It may be in Brazil to ask people what they're really proud of, or to inquire into dance or festival or motor racing or whatever it is. By having this as a 2-stage process, you don't rush too quickly into the areas of difference.
What tips would you give for dealing with cultural misunderstandings?
Well, misunderstandings are bound to happen. That's part of the fun of travelling. Don't be afraid of being yourself, but do pay attention to what's happening. For example, a colleague working in an Arab country did not know that at the end of the meeting, when his Arab host stood up, walked him to the lift, this was a very positive sign. A contract was about to be signed. The other example is in a Nordic country where I learned from experience at the end of a presentation, when I asked, "Are there any questions?" and there was silence, this was not a bad sign. Checking up afterwards, I was told, "No, the presentation was fine, everything's clear, we have no questions." In summary, mistakes are bound to happen, misunderstandings, every one of them is an opportunity for you to learn.